How is Colshan Community Land Trust funded?
That's a good question. We have a variety of funding sources. Primarily, though, we're individual donors and contributors is how we manage our operations. It's a critical piece to how we continue to make the mission work. So when people donate to Colshan, they're helping us continue to support families through the stewardship of their home. When folks need to resell their home, we can be there to walk them through that process and hold their hand through that. And then we have folks throughout the community. We're doing outreach and education. So those flexible, unrestricted dollars that come from individual donations are really critical to the work that we do. We also have some funding that comes from the federal government through the Office of HUD, and those funds are at risk right now. And then we have some programmatic income that comes when homes resale, but that's a pretty limited piece of the pie.
Yeah. So it sounds like the vast majority of it is just through private donors.
That's right.
That's cool. Well, I think it reminds me, one of my favorite movies is It's a Wonderful Life. I don't know if you guys see it. I didn't watch it until I was like 17 or whatever. And then I was like, this is an amazing movie. So we watch it with our family every Christmas. We watch It's a Wonderful Life. And so it's kind of ingrained in my mind. But it reminds me there's a scene where it's after George Bailey's dad dies. He's got the building and loan. And the whole premise is like you got the little guy of the building and loan, and then you have Mr. Potter who's trying to control the whole town. And at one point in it, Mr. Potter's trying to shut him down after George's dad dies. And I had to write it down because I was like, I'll say it wrong. And he said, his dad helped a few people get out of your slums, Mr. Potter. And what's wrong with that? He's like, and then he turns to everyone else. He says, you're all businessmen here. Doesn't it make them better citizens? Doesn't it make them better customers? And I think like for people to have that idea and to realize when you help people get into homeownership, like why does it matter when you help people get into homeownership, right? It makes a better community. It makes a stronger community. You're helping give opportunities to that next generation, and you're changing the dynamics of the community. We look at the homeless issue as a whole, and people are like, oh my gosh, what do we do about this? And a big part of it is how do we create an opportunity for people to get into homes? And I know some people are like, oh, that sucks that you only get 1.5%, but you're getting into a home, right? Like you're getting into something that's affordable. A house for $280,000 in the Whatcom County is like half price compared to what you're going to get as a starter home.
Yeah, and the subsidies that we bring in for down payment assistance offer 10 to 30% of the price of the home in down payment assistance.
Oh, wow.
So you're not paying mortgage insurance, and it helps get you into that home at an affordable monthly payment.
Right, and it changes. It changes your monthly payment. It changes what what you can afford, and it changes that you're locked in, right? Like you, I think, Rose, you mentioned that like rents change every year, every 2 years. It's constantly going up. If you have a mortgage and you stay in that house for 10 years, your mortgage doesn't really change for that whole 10 years. It's pretty stagnant. So that's a huge deal as well.
Yeah, we've got, there's quite a few benefits that come with being a Colshan homeowner. And, some people say, well, but you're not getting that market equity. But you do get reduced interest rates on your loans. Our homeowners are all first-time home buyers, so they're coming in, and this is they're getting this is their first opportunity to get home ownership equity at all. So you get reduced interest rates, and then also we're able to work with the assessors so that their property tax isn't taxed on the market rate assessed value. Oh, okay. It's on the sales price of their home, so that stays at a reasonable price too.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but that's a good point. Yeah, because if you weren't working with the assessor's office, they would assess it at the market value, which is going to be
significantly more. And then land is removed from that value too because it's in the trust.
Okay.
So it's just the value of the home.
Right. Right. How does that work when they're, so this is something that came up with insurance, right? To think about like the land is not owned by the individual, but the house itself is owned. Is that right?
Correct.
Because a lot of people were confused. That was why we were talking about insurance. A lot of people got confused because it sounds almost like a condo, right? You're like, oh, I'm part of a homeowners association. I don't own the land. So then Colshan Land Trust would be the ones insuring everything. But that's not actually how it works.
Well, and that is also a difference between our new construction and our legacy homes. So, when Colshan started 25 years ago, they predominantly were just helping people with the down payment assistance piece of it. That homeowners or prospective homeowners would come to talk to them. They'd educate them on what value they could afford, like how much they could afford in a home, and then say, go out in the market and find something that fits this price point.
Oh, okay.
And then Colshan would underwrite the down payment assistance. Well, as we all know, that with the spike in values, I would say less than 10 years ago, it got to the point where there were no homes that fit within the affordability market on the market, within the affordability level of what people could afford in the market. And that is when Colshan moved into development. So HOAs are new for us.
Oh, okay.
Because the legacy, I'm just going to call them legacy homes, don't have HOAs. They're just homes within a neighborhood. There's like some in Columbia. There's some in the York neighborhood. They're just peppered all over.
Are those legacy homes still subject to the same thing where it was 1.5% growth?
Yes.
But are they still somewhat managed by Colshan then as they sell?
Yes, they sell. They're required to sell through Colshan per the terms of the land lease.
So then they're selling it to somebody else who's qualifying as a first-time home buyer, low income.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
And I should say it's low to median income, or low to medium income. It's anything below. It's 80% area median income and below is what qualifies for the subsidies that we are applying for.
Okay, that's cool.
So 80% area median income, it's kind of a moving target, and it depends on your household size. But for a family of 4, that's about $94,000.
So we're not selling to. I mean, we're selling to teachers.
Right.
It's like people that need housing within the community that they work.
So 94,000, a family of 4. Is that 80%? Is the 94,000 the 80%, or is that the median income?
That's the 80% area median income. So that can be one person and have 3 kids.
Right.
And a $94,000 a year job is a good job.
Right.
And yet there's no way that someone earning that kind of money could afford to buy a home on the market. So right now you have to make about 140% area median income in order to buy a median priced home in Whatcom County.
Wow, that's crazy. So you have to be, to buy an average house, you have to be 40% above average in your income to buy the average house.
And you have to have a whole lot of money saved for your down payment.
That's right.
So it's the income, and you have to have this nest egg or source to get the down payment.
Yeah, that's nuts. What do you think has driven that in the community for it to get to that point? Because who's buying the houses then?
Well, the housing crisis that we're in now, I think, is there's not one finger that you can point at one thing.
Right.
Probably the most articulated way that people are describing it now is just lack of supply. So after the bubble burst in 2008 and we had the Great Recession, people stopped building homes, but people didn't stop moving here. And so we've just reached a spot where, supply and demand has increased housing costs. So the more homes that we can build, the better. And so if we can, we at Colshan want to see more homes of all kinds, of all sizes and shapes. And my hope is that we can participate with our for-profit builders and others and do development ourselves in order to bring more of these very long-term, permanently affordable homes into our community. in addition to more market rate.
Yeah, I think that one of the things you said there that I was like, that's really important is all homes of all sizes, right? I think that we've turned into like that McMansion is what everybody's building, right? Everyone's building a 2,600, 2,800 square foot house, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, granite countertops, tile floors, tile and hardwood floors, right? And it's not, those aren't starter homes. Those are nice homes, but that's not like if I'm struggling to pay rent, that's not the house I want to go buy, right? If so. And
even for, even if when you're not trying to build at that level of spec, it is really hard to build at a cost that is affordable for first-time homeowners. And so the benefit that we have, and Rose has been working really hard on this with one of our developments that's about to, we just had our groundbreaking on, is getting donations from contractors, suppliers that are making those materials and more affordable.
Yeah, because just the hard costs, right? I was thinking about that. I was talking to one of the builders I know, and he's like, just the hard cost of building is about $200 a square foot. So
at least,
right,
yeah.
and that's not including your land,
yeah,
or your permits. So if you think about that, I was like, man, like so to build 1,000 square foot house, that's $200,000 just in building costs. Plus your land is $150,000 to $200,000. So you're at 400,000 with your permits and land and building costs just to build 1,000 square foot house. So that is the problem. Is part of it is that you can't build affordably. So getting donations. So are the builders like, how's that working? Is it just that people are donating to offset the cost, or what are they doing to lower the cost of building?
Yeah, well, and it's a combination of things. So, we are working with our subcontractors, suppliers, and asking them if there's anything that they can do to help reduce costs. We have, our architect, our builder, our land use planner, our engineer have all donated pro bono time. Not all of their time, so we are paying for some of their time, of course, and it's well worth it because they're a great team. Yeah. But between those, and then we're able to bring in grants and subsidies. So we bring in some about $100,000 per unit from the Housing Trust Fund, which is out of the Department of Commerce in Washington State. And then the city of Bellingham has a home fund also, so we bring in another $75,000 in down payment assistance. And then, we'll try and get other donations and folks to give towards those projects also. But it's a complex capital stack that we put together, and then. We have the thing with us is that when you build a market rate home, if it costs you more, you can just maybe sell it for a little bit more in order to make your margins, right? Well, we have a very firm cap on what we can sell our homes for because you have to be able to afford it at 80% area median income and below. So we have a real target that we're trying to hit. And what's great about the project that she was just mentioning in Birchwood, neighborhood of Bellingham, is that we're able to, through those like asks to the suppliers and materials and the donations, we want to really create a product that people love, that's durable, that will last a long time. So we really want to do high quality construction, which when you're trying to do affordability,
that's a balance.
Yeah, there's tension there. But because we're getting those donations, we're able to really create homes that people are going to love.
Yeah, that's awesome. It is. That would be you got a big job. You're like, let's make homes people will love, but we got to do it on like a shoestring budget and do it for less than what everybody else can do it for.
Yep.
That's tough.
Yeah. I mean, right now, the city of Bellingham has over 300 permits that are on hold because interest rates are high, construction costs are kind of volatile right now. And so people are just not building because of that reason. But here we are, we're doing it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.